Listen, the hardest part about being a parent financially is realizing that just because you can give your kid a better life than the one you had, one that looks and feels better to them, does not necessarily mean you're being the best parent that you can be. I think too often as parents, we confuse the ability to be able to give our kids things that we didn't have. We confuse that for preparing our child. We confuse our job. And as parents, our job really is to prepare them for the world. It's not to give them the best looking life. A lot of us don't want our kid to outwardly go through struggles that we went through, and that's noble. I understand why that is. So the problem with that, though, is that often we spend all of our money trying to build them a life that feels better for them than it felt for us growing up. Now, I'm not saying that if you couldn't eat as a kid, that your kid shouldn't eat. No, but understand that just because you can afford to get your child gifts, you can afford to give your child things they want, it doesn't mean they're learning any valuable lessons. Our jobs are to prepare them for the world, to be able to make decisions that are sound financially, emotionally, if you want to say spiritually, without us. Because eventually we're not going to be able to guide them, right? There's going to be a time where they got to walk on their own 2 feet out of our houses and get it done themselves. And if your goal is to be able to raise a child who's going to be a functioning member of society as an adult, which is what I think we all want, you have to be able to understand that you have to be able to give them adult lessons as they're growing up. It can't simply be about having the most fun, them getting the most things, them enjoying being a kid. Now, of course, there's going to be time for that. But how you implement that is going to make a big difference in how they see themselves in this world. If you look around today and you see how many people are completely divorced from the idea that they should work for the money that they earn, so many people just don't think it should be a thing that they have to work for money. You have to understand that comes from being in a world where you have not necessarily been forced to fend for yourself. These are individuals lots of times that grew up being able to get Christmas gifts, get all types of toys, do all types of things throughout their lives without any connection to the cost. See, I'll give you an example in my own life. Our daughter is 3. Now, for those of you who don't know, our house is completely paid off. We have 0 debt here. In our financial position today, it's very easy for me to be able to go out and get whatever toy, whatever thing my daughter wants. And there are some things we do just get her because we want her to experience it. But even at 3, she is not divorced from the idea that in order to have money and pay for things that she wants, she has to work for it. So how do we implement that at 3? Well, if there's certain things she sees at stores that don't cost much money that she could work to get, we give her tasks around the house to do that are not normally her job, just things that we would normally do that she can handle, like cleaning off countertops, putting things away, organizing things, helping feed the dogs that we have in the house, things like that she can handle at 3, and then giving a monetary value to those things so that she can save up her money and go spend it on things that she wants. And then obviously she gets to make a decision on how she spends her money. Now, that's easy to teach a 3-year-old if you are consistently giving her the opportunity to do so. What happens to a lot of us is we are just given the thing. We're given the thing without any connection to how much it costs. And then later on, we have this issue of understanding why things cost so much. Because the reason most of us can't understand and wrap our minds around things like inflation and how this world works is because when we were children, as we were growing up and as we were getting into these ages where we could really understand and comprehend how this world moves, no one was telling us the truth. No one was telling us that this world is dog eat dog and that the real world is not this fun puffy place where you get to do all the stuff you want. So a lot of that reality hits us for the first time as adults. And that's a travesty of parenting because it's our job as parents to be able to make our children understand that the world we're preparing them for is a lot more difficult than the one that they live in under our roof. See, we got to get it through our heads, and that's our fault. We got to get through our heads that the best thing we can do as parents is pick and choose how we expose our children to the world, not to shelter and shield them from it completely. We have to be able to give it to them in doses so that they can learn how to navigate it. The most successful people with money are the ones that get the game early. If you can prepare your child early enough, they will be able to navigate this game better than a lot of us have ever imagined if you can get them in the game early. But what will happen to them if you don't? And you prioritize fun and extravagant things and trips. You all are going to have a lot of memories, sure, but here's what's going to happen. Your children will get to an age where they start to make some money. You will have no money because you spent all your money trying to give them stuff you didn't have. And then not only will they reach a point to realizing that, wow, I got to work even harder than I thought to make as much money as I want, but I also am not financially responsible because I never got those lessons as a kid. So I got to learn all of that on my own. But also now I got to take care of mommy and daddy because they weren't financially responsible either. They spent all their money giving me stuff. That's what happens. That's generational poverty. That's how we get in this cycle as parents. We give our kids everything, we teach them nothing, and then they got to take care of us. All in the name of looking like a good parent because you sent your children on a trip. Because you signed little Timmy up for football practice when you couldn't afford it and you were storing it on a credit card. It's that kind of stuff that keeps us broke. We got to do better as parents in understanding that our job is preparation, not lavish lifestyles, not the best child award, not the best lifestyle award. These kids that we are raising, we are not raising humans to be the most fun children. We're raising them to be the most potential productive adults. So their childhood years, these very important years that they have with us, they have to have adult lessons involved in them. And a lot of times that means you have to be able to connect your children's lives with real life lessons that teach them a little bit, give them a little bit of insight into the world of adulting. When my kid asks me about food, about money, I give her the straight up answers, even at 3. Yeah, I know she doesn't understand it all at 3, but it doesn't matter. The more she hears this terminology, she hears debt, she hears mortgage, she hears savings account, she hears HSA, all of those things, by the time she's 5, 6, and 7, she's going to be able to explain that back to me. We don't have those conversations with our children. That's the real problem. We are more concerned with what their life looks like to other people and what we look like to other parents than we are with the lessons that we teach them. And that is how you get a generation of people who are disconnected from what it takes to win in a harsh world. If you think that it's going to get any easier, I'm telling you it's not. You got to prepare them now. And if you really want to be a good parent, you have to understand that sometimes being a good parent is doing the things that nobody wants to do. Being a good parent is being able to do things that nobody will applaud, nobody will even understand was relevant or important until they see the fruits of your labor 20, 30 years from now. I understand me working all these hours. No one's going to think, oh yeah, it was a great idea you did that instead of hanging out with your kid. I know that. I already know that. I don't care. I know what it means to be able to homeschool our daughter. I know what it means to be able to teach her financial lessons that she's not going to get other places. I know what it means to be able to put my daughter in a position to win, not just to be the happiest kid. We as parents have an obligation, and that obligation involves preparation, not lifestyle. And while it's great to give your child all of those extra things, make sure first that you're honest with yourself and with them about whether or not you can really afford it. Because at the end of the day, I'm gonna ask you in closing, which does your child deserve more? A trip to Disney World, nice Jordans, football practice, or a parent who is honest with them about the financial realities of the world they're going to step into? A financially responsible parent. Which one of those you think is going to be more beneficial to them in 30 years? Which one do you think they'll remember more in 30 years? You choose. I'll talk to you later.